They call it the zone, and if you're hearing this, you probably already know why. It's a place where the laws of nature don't apply, where time bends, and where reality warps into something you can't comprehend until you see it for yourself. But I'm not here to lecture you. I'm here to tell you how it all went wrong. I've been a stalker for about 3 years now. I've seen things that would drive most people insane. Anomalies that can twist your body into impossible shapes, creatures that should be dead but walk among the ruins. The zone's no place for heroes. It eats them alive, just like it eats the careless and the greedy. But sometimes, the lure of the unknown is too strong, even for a hardened stalker like me. It all started when I got a tip from a contact. A fellow stalker who went by the name of Grisha. He'd found something deep in the Red Forest, something that could make us rich, or so he said. But there was something off about his voice over the radio, like he was talking from 100 miles away, like the signal was coming from a place it shouldn't have. I didn't question it. Greed makes you do stupid things. I agreed to meet him at an old factory near the forest's edge. I trekked through the ruins of Pripyat to get there, the Geiger counter clicking like a heartbeat in my pocket, warning me of the radiation that seeped into everything. But radiation wasn't the only danger. The air shimmered with invisible death. Anomalies that could boil you alive or turn you inside out. I kept my eyes sharp and my footsteps light. I thought I could handle it. Hell, I thought I was prepared for anything. The factory was a corpse of steel and concrete, swallowed by the forest, roots twisting through shattered windows and machinery that had long since rusted to a halt. I found Grisha in one of the rooms, but he wasn't alone. He was slumped against the wall. Eyes wide open, staring at nothing. His mouth twisted into a silent scream. His radio crackled beside him, but there were no words, just a low hum that made my teeth ache. I called his name, but he didn't respond. I nudged him with the barrel of my rifle. No reaction. But his body wasn't cold, not yet. It was like he was stuck between life and death, frozen in some nightmare I couldn't see. I should have turned back then. I should have called it a loss and left him there, but no, I had to go deeper. I took the radio, tried to tune into a signal. It wasn't long before I picked up something strange. Voices, whispering just below the static, like they were talking to each other about me. They weren't speaking Russian, or English, or any language I recognized. And yet, I understood them. They knew I was there. They were waiting for me. I don't remember much after that. I must have blacked out because the next thing I knew, I was in a different part of the factory. The sun had gone down, plunging everything into shadows. My flashlight cut through the darkness, but it only made me feel more alone. I could hear footsteps behind me, but when I turned around, there was no one there. Just the endless halls, stretching out further than they should have. I kept walking, trying to find my way back, but every door led to another corridor, another room that looked exactly the same as the last. The Geiger counter buzzed, louder and faster, but the radiation wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from me. My skin felt like it was burning, like something was crawling beneath it. I scratched and scratched until my nails were bloody, but it only made the feeling worse. Then, I saw them. Shadows, moving along the walls. They didn't have faces, just outlines of people, like someone had burned their shapes into the concrete. They whispered my name, each time a little closer, a little louder. I tried to raise my gun, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I found a door that I swear wasn't there before, a heavy steel door with a rusted handle. My gut told me not to open it, but when you're lost in the zone, sometimes all you have is hope. I turned the handle, and the door creaked open, revealing a staircase leading down into darkness. I went down, step by step, each one echoing like a gunshot. The air grew colder, thicker, like I was breathing in water. And then, at the bottom of the stairs, I found it. An anomaly, but not like any I'd seen before. It was a rift, a tear in the fabric of reality, pulsing with a dull red light. The shadows clustered around it, shifting like a swarm of insects, feeding off its energy. I don't know what I was thinking, but I reached out, touched it with my bare hand. It burned, searing into my flesh, but the pain was distant, like it belonged to someone else. And in that moment, I saw everything, visions of the zone before the disaster, of people working, living, dying. And then I saw them, the creatures that came after, the things that wore human shapes but weren't human at all. The rift showed me a future where the zone would spread, swallowing city after city until nothing remained but ruins and whispers. And then, it showed me a choice. Go back, forget what I'd seen, or step through the rift and become a part of it, become one of those shadows that haunted the zone. I stumbled back, gasping for breath, the vision fading. The shadows circled me, but they didn't attack. It was like they were waiting for my decision. My head spun, my skin felt like it was melting off my bones, but I managed to climb the stairs, forcing myself back up to the factory. The door slammed shut behind me, sealing whatever nightmare I had glimpsed back into the dark. When I looked at my watch, days had passed, but I had no memory of them. Grisha's body was gone. There was no sign of him, no blood, no tracks, just the empty factory and the endless, whispering static on the radio. I made it back to the nearest safe zone, but I haven't slept since. Every time I close my eyes, I see the rift, see those shadows waiting on the other side. Sometimes, I still hear Grisha's voice, crackling through the static, calling me back. And I know, deep down, that the zone hasn't finished with me. It's just waiting, biding its time. Maybe one day, I'll answer that call. Maybe I'll go back to that factory, open that door again, and step through into whatever hell lies beyond. But for now, I keep my head down, my gun loaded, and my ears tuned to the whispers and the static. Because in the zone, there are worse things than death. There's knowing that some doors, once opened, never truly close. And some shadows, once seen, never let you go.